Hi, everyone. I'm Teresa Lisum, and I want to welcome you to Evolving Women. And I would like to introduce you to my amazing guest co-host, Precious Fuller. And we're evolving women. I'm evolving, you're evolving, we're all evolving. So we're here to help each other to evolve. And our mission here is to infuse the world with uplifting messages, new perspectives, some empowering tools, maybe fresh insights and resources, maybe planting some new seeds, maybe helping you shift your mind, maybe helping you with some new self-belief strategies, but we're dedicated to being a source of inspiration for you. So consider this episode your permission to be your best self. So welcome to Evolving Women. We're so glad you're here. So this is Evolving Women. And as we said in the intro, I'm evolving, you're evolving, we're all evolving. And I want to again thank Precious for being here as my guest co-host. So appreciate you being here, Precious.
My pleasure.
Love your name. Love your name. There's got to be a story behind that, but we won't go into that right now. But we want to ask our viewers, are you evolving? Can you see yourself evolving? And if not, why not? So we're going to explore the whole concept of evolving women, and just kind of follow that path and see where it takes us. So I know I've evolved a lot, Precious. I don't know about you, but I can almost count sometimes the evolution phases I've had throughout my life.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if you can kind of see that, but um, can
Oh
you?
yeah, absolutely. And interestingly enough, maybe to my dismay at the time, those times I can count the most were during challenging times.
Mm,
Um, so yes, and it was funny when you were mentioning in the beginning just now about the evolution, and you asked the audience, can you see that? I thought you were going to say, can you evolve? And that's an interesting question too, because the ability to do that, it depends on some factors and awareness, willingness,
mm-hmm,
emotional maturity, all of that, because we live because we don't die. You just keep breathing. But the
mm-hmm,
growth and being able to make good of those evolutions, that's more of a choice sometimes, I think. So,
mm-hmm.
but yes, definitely, I can tell I've definitely grown. I'm no longer six
So,
in more than one way.
so it sounds like you're suggesting that evolving is a choice, because I think some of us evolve grudgingly, holding on to a previous way of being. And we go into that new phase, that new chapter, kicking and screaming. And then some of us do choose. They see it's happening, or they intentionally want something, some part of themselves to evolve to the next level. So they, you know, set up a strategy or a way to get there. Um, how does that play out for you? Have they all played out? Is there something else to add to
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, someone said recently in a conversation, and it stuck. I appreciated it. Change is not comfortable, but it's inevitable. And
Yes.
so when you talk about you're dragging, kicking and screaming, you don't want to grow and change and evolve, or you're resistant to it. I think sometimes, in a way, people win. If you want to be like you want to be, you get to stay that way.
That
This
is
new phase
true.
is still going to happen. Life is still going to, the earth is still going to rotate. Things are going to still
Hmm.
change. The seasons will still change, whether you like winter better or fall or spring, it doesn't matter. But I think sometimes people can win out. They didn't really win and choose to remain. It's kind of like rehab. You can go there, but you don't always
Hmm.
have to be rehabilitated and
That
whatever the
is
thing is.
true. That
So
is
yeah,
true.
I think that's a definitely it's an intentional thing, and it shows growth that you choose it. And it doesn't mean
Hmm.
you have to always be excited about it, but at some
Right.
point you have to come to terms at some
Yeah.
point when you
And
decide.
And I think sometimes we forget we have choice. We have free
Mhm.
will, as does everybody around us. So they have free will. We have free will. We don't have to agree with their choices, but
Mhm.
I think sometimes we forget that we need to respect other people's choices.
Absolutely.
So yes, I have made the choice to evolve. I know other people that I know in my family have chosen not to evolve, and that's
Mhm.
okay. I have to be okay with that. I might get frustrated a little bit, but
Yeah. And some of that frustration can come depending on how their choices infringe or impact us.
Yeah, that's a good
So
one.
yeah, people can choose to be that power of choice and that will, that independent will that we have. That's a powerful tool. That's really
Mm-hmm,
powerful. And I think it's respected. I'll say this by the divine. It was given to us
mm-hmm,
with,
mm-hmm.
and we sometimes have a hard time respecting others'
Yes,
position. I mean, we can just kind of look at our climate in a lot of ways, and we really don't always have tolerance for people who choose a different way.
correct, correct.
Um, but we can kind of be justified in not agreeing when that infringes on our health and well-being. If
Mm-hmm,
other people their will causes harm to others, then that's kind of where we get to look at it. But absolutely, we get to be our authentic selves and choose our growth or lack of it.
mm-hmm,
We
mm-hmm.
do, and I get to do that for me, and I get to accept that for you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that is part of the challenge, is accepting the fact that you have your choices, and accepting that I have a choice not to allow you to infringe on me, but still have that level of respect and grace and understanding of other people's choices. Oh my God, me and my oldest granddaughter got into a circle of talking back and forth about a particular type of car. And and it was just so fun. I said, we all have our own choices. I can choose to get this kind of car. Your dad can choose his kind of car. And we just have to agree to disagree. And she just was adamant about, no, that's not the right way. And so
Yeah.
with a little, 11-year-old, I was sorry, this discussion,
Yeah.
I won't say argument, a discussion.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I kept just saying, no,
Passionate.
we all, yeah, very passionate. So we just have our own choices, and we have to be respectful of other people's choices. Again,
Yeah.
sometimes I think we tend to forget that.
I agree.
We can't impose our choice on somebody else as much as we want to.
Yeah. Now, and your example, that was a free, fun, friendly dialogue
Yeah.
interaction. And even as a parent and talking to my children as they have gotten older, sometimes I could have to fight the urge of wanting to help. Like, no, but this is, but I
Yes.
realized, okay,
Yes.
you get to have, okay, you have your own
Yes.
brain and it works
Yes.
perfectly. Okay. Um, so that is that, and that's a good thing. And there are other times, there are certain topics that in general we stay away from as
Yeah.
people because like, oh, you don't want to infringe
Yes.
there.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think sometimes that can be, it's just too passionate and it may be devoid of reason or or at least from our perspective. I don't know. There's a whole host of issues that can come from that. But I was just telling my daughter recently, what if we could? What if we could?
Mm,
What if it doesn't mean
love that.
what it doesn't mean? Like, what if we could allow people? Because what if we could have a reasonable share, expression,
Mm-hmm.
discussion? What if and what impact that could make? Sometimes we have similar views, but we've come at it from different
Yeah. Yeah.
perspectives.
Yeah. So
What
true.
if? So just accepting, like, yeah, nope, that's off. Never, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Never's a long time.
Yeah.
And what if you could talk to people reasonably about polarizing topics?
Mm-hmm.
I just think, but not everybody is there. We talked about that
Right.
emotional intelligence. And
Right.
not only that,
Right.
I think sometimes people don't respect a different viewpoint. It's
Mm-hmm.
only mine. So maybe there's a little pride and some other arrogance and some other stuff going on there. I won't touch it. But, maybe because not everybody forgets. I think some people don't respect it. They don't
Mm-hmm.
respect a different view. They don't respect you, much less your view. Um, so that's something else. But I
Yeah.
get to respect me and I get to respect you too.
That self-respect is an important piece as well.
It
Because
is.
sometimes I think people might not have their own respect for themselves. that causes them to be harsh and, not accepting of others. But that is a topic for another discussion. But I love that you said, what if we could? What if we could come to an understanding between our opposing opinions? What if we could give each other grace and, you are entitled to your opinion and I'm entitled to my opinion. So I think that's a really powerful phrase. What if we could?
I do. And I think too that sometimes we do. What happens when those who live with us are growing up and they have questions about
Mhm.
these topics? Are we speaking in a way, excuse me, to indoctrinate them or inform?
Wow.
So if you're
Love
just
that.
informing, then that is an example of we are able to talk about such things. What if our children or people around us say, I've noticed we do this, we don't do that. Why?
Mhm.
Does
Yeah.
that something that'll make you stiffen up? How dare you
Mm.
ask that? You're just supposed to accept it because this is the best
Right,
way. This is
right,
the better way.
right.
Well, can I use my judgment, my reason at some point? My intellect as it's growing. So can you
Mhm.
have a conversation on that
Yeah.
level with me? Sometimes the answer may be no, not
Yeah.
yet. Maybe I need to just stop and sit. Let me think about
Mhm.
that. I appreciate you challenging me,
Yeah,
even if I
yeah.
don't say it out loud. And then there are other times you need some more growth of your own to be able
Mhm.
to appreciate and handle that
Yeah.
type of dialogue. So I think there are times that we do and we can, um, but in a broader sense, it's like, yeah, we don't do that.
Right. Just
Sometimes we
shut
do.
them off. You can't just shut them off. Again, trying to gain that understanding of their point of view and why they're having that opinion. But I love that you said, are you indoctrinating or are you informing? Oh my God. That is powerful.
I,
Man.
I'm just gonna add that to for me, because as I've continued to evolve, I like that word. I'm enjoying it
Yeah.
today. Evolve, evolve, evolve. As I continue to evolve, there is a lot that has been preconditioned in us as to why we
Yes.
think, feel,
Yeah.
and believe the way we do. At some point, do you get to challenge that?
Yes.
Isn't that
Yes.
part of growth? When you ask why, we talk about that for little children, they say, why? Oh, why? Like that question never gets old. There can be a why for everything. At some point, you might have to say,
Hmm.
oh, honey, just take a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, let's just rest. Okay. Let mama drive or whatever we're doing. But the point is, um, have we ever questioned? Because if it stands and if it's solid, it'll still stand up under a why. We can
Yeah.
ask the question and it's still solid. The answer is still solid. And if it's not, we get to evaluate, like we get to think. We don't want to just be indoctrinated ourselves. And I think
Yeah.
all too often we have been. We have been, depending on where you're born in the world, which
Hmm.
family, at what era, we believe things because of those factors alone. And it
Hmm.
doesn't mean that they don't have a safe space, that there's some socialization based on your era, your environment, your family. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
understandable. But some things are as just a hard in this line in the sand because.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that means, did you think about it? Have you really
Right.
adopted this for yourself, or has it
Yeah.
been imposed upon you? So even as adults, there are things we've been indoctrinated on. I do
Oh my
believe.
gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I just um, wrote a story for a multi-author book that's coming out in September. I'll do a little plug there. And it was around that concept, something that I'm going to say, indoctrinated into a way of doing things until I just like this light bulb went off in the midst of what I was doing. Like, oh, my mom did it this way. Do I have to do it this way? Like, I literally remember the moment in time
Mhm.
and a snapshot in my head. Like, I just started questioning, like, why did she do it this way? And I can do something different. I can make my own choice. And so that, initiated a cascade of questioning the way was brought up and certain behaviors and certain patterning. And,
Mhm.
like you said, just you get to the point where it is good to question. It is good to figure out, well, why did that happen? Or why did it play out like this? And why am I continuing it? Is there
Yes.
something
Mhm.
better, something more efficient, a way of doing things that is not, is my own choice, not somebody else's that I was
Right.
indoctrinated with.
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
being a child.
Yeah. And is that better for me? So
Yeah.
I don't have to insult your way of doing it,
Yeah.
but maybe I get to find my own way. And it was something you
Mm-hmm.
said. I'm trying to bring it back when we were talking about a way of doing things and not being indoctrinated. Yeah, this is it. What if the conversation it reflects our health, our level of health when we let's say
Mm-hmm.
someone younger than we are or a child or something may ask a question when we can indulge them and not feel challenged,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
if you're feeling like you're challenging the way we've always done things, you're challenging me, some things are not challenged, some things are just questions. Now people can
Right.
challenge you, and
Right.
that's a different conversation. Maybe
Right.
that's a challenge and you get to handle that accordingly. It still doesn't have to throw you off, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes sometimes it's just inquisition, just
Yeah.
questioning
Yeah.
for learning purposes. Yeah, everything is you don't have to feel challenged, but we get to do that when we are settled and we can
Incentive.
appreciate things and appreciate differences. And I think this one too, when we're grounded, we're comfortable with where we are. We've done the work, we've done the growth. So it doesn't have to like truth. If it's true, it doesn't belong to me. It
Mm-hmm.
stands for itself. I'm not having to defend it per se.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm just having to defend my position, then I'm feeling like I'm on the line here. I got to
Yeah.
defend it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if it is what it is, I can relax, let my shoulders down, and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of speak on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Um, and when you were talking, I was thinking of ego. Like a lot of people's ego kicks in when they're being questioned or somebody, the other person is reevaluating and reassessing and well, why? And why can't we do it this way? And then if that attacks your ego, then I think that's when people get real defensive and they dig in their heels and and we're not challenging that person per se. And there's no reason to get defensive, but we're just questioning that particular moment in time, that challenge, that way of being, that way of doing things. And I love that you said that is reflecting that conversation or that, let's say, defensiveness is a reflection of that person's level of understanding or emotional maturity or more emotional intelligence. And again, that's a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother big old
Goodness.
can of worms. But
Yeah.
yeah, what you said, a lot that was in there, where there were a lot of gems in there.
Hmm. Yeah, they're so when you were describing how people dig their heels in, I'm thinking, some of my folk, some of the ones I know. Like, how do you know this so well? So there are times, let's say this, maybe there are just times, sometimes maybe even subjects that you cannot have a level of conversation with everyone on. Just not
Mm-hmm.
there yet. And at
Mm-hmm.
times that could have been me,
Yeah.
could have been
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
I don't
for
know.
sure.
So there are times it's just nice when we allow the evolution, the growth process, so that we don't stay there. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
still not 6 anymore. I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
12. I'm not 13.
Yep.
You want to keep growing, but it's a
Yes.
choice. And sometimes that may happen in reflection because sometimes people feel they have to save face
Mm-hmm.
in the
Mm-hmm.
midst of something, depends on what's going on around them or in their minds. But when you sit back with just yourself, you might say, hmm, hmm, and you're allowing the space of something new to crowd your narrow
Mm.
mind at that time on that particular subject. We're allowing it to expand. But yeah, there are just times, and that uses a cause for discretion, that there are some topics, there's some people, there's some time periods of things that at this time I can't discuss that. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
equipped or not ready, or
Mm-hmm.
I can't discuss that with you. And even the part
Mm-hmm.
about me, there are times, let's say, we're in a certain emotional state and we're respecting our state, and I can't talk about that right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
Let's say if
you're
we're in grief of some sort, I may not be able to talk about that right now.
well, and being able to articulate that, not right at this moment in time, maybe another time. Let me sit with that for a while. I'll get back
Yeah.
to you on that.
Yeah.
There's ways of articulating and giving yourself space
Yes.
to come to terms with that. So I love that. And I love when you said reflection is really good for that, because some people don't allow that reflection time.
Yeah.
I know I'm not really big on that, but I do have quiet time when I walk every day. And that's kind of like my time to let things percolate and process.
Yeah.
But allowing something new to come in, giving that reflection time, that little quiet time is opening up some space for maybe some new perspectives, some new things that you just heard to come in and just
Mm-hmm.
think about them, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
You
If
get
they
to weigh
serve
it.
you, fine. If they don't, fine, you know?
Right. And it's your choice. People are not forcing it down your throat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't like the pressure. I don't like when, yeah, no, it's
I
like
know.
you're thinking my brain is not working or not well enough. You've got to use yours
Yeah.
to impose your thoughts and views and beliefs on me, because if
Yeah.
left alone, I won't come up with anything sensible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let me do this. Let me take my, and I'm not asking it of you. I get to determine for me, because no one can get in here and dance around our brain and change
Mm-hmm.
it for us. We still have the last word
Yeah.
in our mind of what we will allow and not. So there are times there are people who are so aggressive or assertive at times with their point, so confrontational. And if I don't feel like being confrontational, I don't have to be, but I also don't have to allow you in here.
Yes. Yes.
You get to stop at the door.
Yes, exactly. Be protective of
Yeah,
what we allow in for sure.
absolutely. And a lot of that has to do with your manner of how you're showcasing yourself. If you're
Mm,
overdoing it, that's a signal to me, just slow down. Like I don't have to allow that, because I'm questioning now you. If you're not even able to manage
yeah.
your style and your
Hmm.
aggression maybe towards me, why am I trusting your viewpoint on a particular thing?
Wow, that's good. That's good. And we could go in so many directions here. I just want to, there was two things, and then I want to just kind of give an example of a sibling of mine. She could be very aggressive, very opinionated, very dig in those heels and shut other people down, because her opinion, in her view, matters the most. And it took me almost my entire lifetime to understand what the heck was going on with her. And when I had the realization that that's just her defense wall, that's just what she puts up, because inside she's got this really soft, vulnerable space that she doesn't want anybody to see. So she immediately throws up this defensive shield, and that's her way of keeping people away from her. And so once I had that epiphany, like our relationship changed. Like when I came to that evolution of
Mm-hmm.
understanding why she was so defensive, it's like, oh, okay, I got you now. I got your number now.
Right,
I'm not going
right.
to be sucked in, and I'm not going to be offended when that happens, because I understand where it's coming from. Have I ever spoken to her about that? No. I just had it figured out. And at least
Right,
that's my story of how
right,
I handle her.
right. That's quite interesting, because I think we all have that sibling. Well, it doesn't have to literally be a sibling, but someone
Hmm.
we know with similar traits, at least by
Hmm.
our take on it. And I too have had to do the same thing you've done. And what I have to do is sometimes just limit contact,
Yes. Oh, yes, for sure.
limit
Yes.
certain conversations,
Yep.
because I'm not expecting you to change. I have to
Yes.
adapt to the knowledge that I have now as it
Yes.
pertains to you. And
Yes.
one of the things that when you mentioned that, it made me consider what happens when we don't quite understand yet. Like when you got it, like, that's why. But what about that phase before you get to the
Mm,
what do we do? Sometimes when we don't know, we still have to protect ourselves and respect
right.
others and respect ourselves. And so sometimes I don't quite get you. I don't know what, but whether I get it or not, I get to get me, and I can know
Mm,
what lands well and what doesn't. And I just have to have healthy boundaries.
yeah. Oh my God. That's a whole nother conversation. Healthy
It's true.
boundaries. We can go
Yeah.
in so many directions. Um, Oh my gosh. I'm kind of watching the time. I think we're going to wrap this up just so that we keep this in a nice time frame that people can watch or listen to without it going on too long. But we are going to go into another episode. So those of you watching and listening, I invite you to watch for the second episode here with Precious, and we'll see where the breadcrumbs take us in that conversation. But I do want to kind of come back around to this whole concept of evolution, evolving. And I'm going to invite viewers and listeners to think about their own journey of evolution and where has it brought you? Are you evolving in general or in certain areas of your life? Have you kind of halted your evolution? Maybe feeling a little stuck. So just something to think about, play with that idea, reflect on it, and feel free to, leave a comment. And Precious, I'm going to invite you to give some last thoughts for this episode. And how can people get a hold of you if they want to interact with you more?
Sure. So I guess the last thoughts on the topic of evolving, because that's what you just shared. I'm thinking, oh, I got something good for that. So stay tuned, folks, because I'm looking forward to that one. I'll just say we get to choose. That's such a powerful tool we have. Choose wisely. Like I could drop the mic after that one, but you get to reflect, think, make your decisions, and then choose the healthier one. What's healthy
Love
for
that.
you? Choose wisely. Yeah, use your power of choice in a wise way. And they can
Love it.
reach me. I'm on LinkedIn, and I am the first part of LinkedIn, https:// linkedin.com/n/Precious Fuller. That's my name. You'll find me there. -women -empowerment -specialist. Okay.
Love that.
Precious Fuller, my name, no space, no hyphen. And then the hyphen for women, then another hyphen, empowerment specialist, hyphen after the empowerment. Also, if you feel that you would be interested in considering maybe spending thoughtful 30 minutes together and strategy and deciding where maybe our relationship could go, if there would be some support that you feel I could offer, then you can also get on my Calendly.com. Of course, the HTTPS, all the fun part in the beginning, and Calendly.com/Precious Fuller. And that's PRECIOUSFULLER.
Thank you so much. And we will drop some links into the description with this episode so people can just click on them and take you, right to where they need to go. So, yeah, this has been a very inspiring and thoughtful conversation. I want to thank you so much. I'm looking forward to our next episode. So I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody for watching in. And you know the drill. Subscribe, follow us, find us on LinkedIn. Are you on Facebook perchance?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Yeah, I didn't
Facebook.
think that one.
So yeah, you can definitely reach out to Precious in those different
Absolutely.
ways. But we want to thank everybody. Thank you so much again, Precious, and we will see you in the next episode.
All right. Looking forward to
Bye-bye.
it.